back to the beginning of the history of country music when A.P., Sarah, and Maybelle Carter made their first recording in 1927. Although the original Carter family disbanded in 1943, they left a wealth of songs and a legacy of talent passed on from one generation to another. Maybelle Carter, a member of the original group, went on to form a new Carter family composed of herself and her daughters Anita, Helen, and June. They began working on various radio stations and in 1950 moved to Nashville to become regulars on the Grand Ole Opry. Along with the group came a young musician they had discovered along the way by the name of Chet Atkins. The Carter family went on to perform during the 50s till Helen and Anita married and left the group, and June struck out on her own. With the advent of the folk era during the 60s, Maybelle became a featured performer at folk festivals and college concerts, and June and her husband, Johnny Cash, became stars of their own network TV show. And during the early 70s, the Carter family assembled once again to perform frequently on the show. Following Maybelle Carter's death in 1978, the group continued to perform with Johnny Cash's show and recently added new members, a third generation of Carters. And here's the Carter family as they appeared in 1965.
There's a dark and a troubled side of life. There's a bright and a sunny side too. Though we meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. It will keep on the sunny side of life. Let us greet with a song of hope each day. Though the moment be cloudy or fair, let us trust in our Savior always to keep us everyone in His care. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. It will keep on the sunny side of life.
That was the Carter family. Anita and Helen are with us today on Yesteryear in Nashville to talk about the legendary Carter family. Now, Anita and Helen, who I've known for many, many years, not too many, because we're still young, aren't we?
Right. Very young.
They are, but I'm not. But you guys were not with the original Carter family.
No.
Not at the start. We
weren't born yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Not quite.
No, our mother, Maybelle, and A.P. and Sarah were the original members, and they started...
That was just three people.
Three people, And they played, like my mother played the lead guitar, like on Wildwood Flower, and Aunt Sarah either played a rhythm guitar or she strummed the alto harp, with the rhythm. They didn't have a bass or anything like that, but sometimes...
A.P. just sang.
A.P. just sort of sung a little bass whenever he felt like it, and he had his very own style of doing that, as we all know, but he had a fiddle.
Yeah.
And once in a while he'd go back and pick it up and play 2 or 3 little notes on the fiddle, and you just almost had to know him to really appreciate A.P. He was something else.
Yeah, they were. Now that's the original family with only 3 members.
Only 3.
People get a little mixed up because
yes, they do.
The big records they had that they made in 1925 were the 3 people.
3 people.
And 2 instruments.
2 instruments.
And I still like it that way.
Yeah, it's nice that
Now,
way.
your mother was Maybelle, of course. Now, how was she related to A.P. and Sarah?
Well,
Explain all that.
I tell you, it's a little bit complicated unless you do know. Sarah married A.P. Carter, and my mother, who was Sarah's cousin, married A.P.'s brother, Ezra. So
Right.
that's how they all got to be Carters.
Now, how was the original Carter family discovered? How did that happen?
Well, AP and Mama and Aunt Sarah, you know, had been kind of picking around the area. And they heard about a talent scout who was coming into Bristol. And he was looking for talent to record. And so they just got themselves together and went up to Bristol to see what they could find out. And Mama was so green at that time. She was 16 years old. You know, she said, well, should I take my guitar? You know, she didn't know. So anyway, they went with their little guitar and their auto harp and ended up recording. And I think the day after they did their first recording, Jimmy Rogers did his first recording. So it was quite a happening.
Helen, why did the original Carter family break up?
Well, I don't know. I tell you, Aunt Sarah and Uncle A.P., you know, were married. And back several years before, they had divorced. And she later remarried. And I don't know whether there were some problems, but she never did love the business like Mother loved it. You know, she would go and she would do the radio shows, and that was fine, and she'd go record. But she didn't love that contact. She didn't love that personal contact that Mother did, being out and being with an audience. You know, I can remember when Mother started out with us that Aunt Sarah would say, May, when are you ever going to settle down and stay home like you should? And that was not for Mother, you know. She enjoyed every minute. And they broke up, I think, in 1943. They made their last recordings, I think, in 41. And there was no real big problem, but I think they just kind of, one went one way and one went the other, and Mother just said, come on, girls, and here we go. So
now, we've been talking about the original Carter family. Well, part of the group that's formed later. When was the group you were in formed?
Well, we started singing together. Was it 1939 we first sang together? Mother was in Texas on the border stations doing some shows, and Nita had gone out the year before, a little bitty thing, and sang with Mother.
Well, we done got me a job, but
she
I
went
didn't
out and
get
got
paid.
a job when she was like 3 or 4 years old. Anyhow, he asked Mother, said, do you have any more daughters can sing? And of course I was trying to play the guitar and sing, and I sang some with A.P. and Sarah's daughter, Jeanette. And Mother said, well, I've got one I know can sing, but I don't know about that other one. June had never shown any inclination to sing or anything except just have a good time. She was always full of herself. So Mother came home. I never will forget, she came in and she said, now girls, you got to learn some songs. We learned 15 songs, and we put June on the lead because she'd never sang, she hadn't sung any, and Nita and I could sing harmony. So here's a little 4-year-old peeping along in harmony, and I'm singing the low part, and June is doing the lead, and when Mother got the auto harp out, and she wrote the words of the songs out, and then she put the keys above the words, and she'd say, now June, when you see that, you change. And that's how June learned to play the auto harp. We learned 15 songs and went to Texas, and we got out there. Before we got back, I think we knew about 100. We had sung everything from Make Me Want to Go, what is it?
Make Me Want to Go
Make Me
Home.
Want to Go. Don't make no, honey. You know those songs
Don't
about.
make me go to bed and I'll be good.
Yeah, she sung that one, but the one I'm thinking about, Show Me the Way to Go Home. That was
I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
Want to go to bed.
Show me the way to go home. That's a drunk song.
I had a drink,
We
a little
sung
drink.
it, believe me. I
At 4
sang
years old.
I sang Yankee Doodle. Really, we sang everything.
We didn't have all the songs then that we have now. You know, you just sang whatever was available.
That's right. Birmingham Jail and
Yeah, we sang
down
all
in the
those.
valley. We're talking with Helen and Anita Carter. A group of girls to be on the Opry?
I think
Was there ahead of
probably to
so.
be a complete unit with the
Unit,
except, you know,
yeah.
like Chester.
Definitely a unit,
Yeah.
I think. Well, Sarah and Sally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sarah and Sally with, you know, but...
And then Minnie Pearl.
Yeah. Oh,
But-
many, yeah, but
But a group
to
of
be
singers.
a group of just
Girls.
women that kind of played their own instruments
Yeah.
and, you know, had kind of made it by themselves until they found that they really did need Chester, you know. And he helped us so much in learning the new chords and everything. And
now here is the Carter family back in 1962.
If I was on some foggy mountain top, I'd sail away to the west. I'd sail all around this old wide world to the boy I love the best. If I had listened to what Mama said, I would not have been today, wishing for things that I'll never have, and weaving my sweet life away. If I was on some foggy mountain top, I'd sail away to the west. I'd sail all around this old wide world to the boy I love the best. You've caused me to weep, you've caused me to mourn, you've caused me to leave my home. Oh, that lonesome pine and these good old times, I'm on my way back home. Oh, when you see that two-faced blonde, there's something you can tell her. She need not fool her time away of trying to steal my feller. Oh, when you come to court me, put on your navy blue. That long tail rouse about you, it don't do a thing for you. If I was on some foggy mountain top, I'd sail away to the west. I'd sail all around this old wide world to the boy I love the best. Yodelay, lay,
How would you describe each of your parts in the group? Now, Maybelle was the leader,
Definitely.
and the rest of you had different parts. For example, you played accordion.
I played accordion and guitar and sung the part that was left usually. And June, of course, was the funny person. And here's the voice.
I was the troublemaker.
This was the voice, and this was the one from the time she was that high. When one of us hit a bad note, we got pinched or a dirty look, like you've done it again, you know.
This little gal here can't hit a bad note.
I have a
Perfect
bunch
pitch.
of them, Archie.
I have always, I think it's probably your fault that you haven't had the biggest hit record of all women singers. I think you just didn't put enough in it. Am I right or wrong?
Well, I'm sort of laid back, you know. I just like being a member of my family, and I mean, I love to sing. Don't misunderstand me. I love singing, and if I have a hit record, that would make me very, very happy. And I appreciate the years that we've worked, but it's not something that was just going to kill me if it didn't happen to me, because I had enough of Mama in me to just love to get out there and do what you do, you know. And if it happens big, great. If not, you don't have to worry about falling down, you know.
What were some of your big records back in the 50s?
Oh, 50s. Well, I had a duet with Hank Snow that sold like a million copies on Bluebird Island and Down the Trail of Aching Hearts. That was a pretty big record. Then I did one by myself called Blue Doll. The family did Fair and Tender Ladies was a pretty good record for us back in that time.
Now, Maybelle was known as one of the finest and most creative instrumentalists of all time. How about describing her innovative style of playing the auto harp and the guitar?
Mother, you know, Aunt Sarah always just drummed the auto harp. And Mother was one of these people, if she saw an instrument, she was going to get something out of it some way. So we were just young girls, I remember, very young, in fact. And she started playing the auto harp, and one day she was playing San Antonio Rose on that thing, and I could not believe what she was doing to that auto harp, you know. And I remember we worked a show, I believe it was in Louisville, Kentucky, with Pee Wee King. That's where I found out I played my accordion upside down, by the way. I didn't know the difference. The country girl didn't know when.
Wait a minute now, wait a minute. You were playing it. You were playing it upside down?
My daddy, you just have to know our daddy really well. You knew him, so you know what a character he was. But he bought instruments. He bought the bass fiddle. He bought the accordion. And he said, all right, girls. Now, June at that time didn't play hardly anything. She was too busy patting her foot and moving, you know, so she didn't pick up anything. But I was fool enough to pick up that accordion, and Nita got the bass fiddle when she was only like 10 years old, 8 or 10 years old, and stood on a box to reach it. But I put that accordion on upside down and went to work show. We went on the bus, by the way. I remember riding the bus. It was back in the early part of the war, back during the war. And when we got there, Pee Wee King looked at me, and I was just playing away. And I thought, when I got it, I thought, well, the lead's on the left hand. This is funny. And he said, honey, did you know you've got that thing on upside down? I said, are you kidding me? He said, no. I said, my word. And
your bass notes and everything were in the wrong.
I should have left it.
I should have left it. I'd have been
really
unique, you know, but I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know why you didn't.
No.
Now, you grew up as children of recording artists. Now, what was it like being a country star and at the time your mother was performing as part of the original Carter family?
You mean working with Mother or
Yeah.
sitting home and listening to her?
Well, both ways.
Well, I tell you, I don't think we truly realized the size or the impact that Mother and the old family had on the world, because when you're a child, you know, and grow up with something, you don't appreciate it. Looking back now, I would be trying to remember every little thing when people ask me these questions. And it didn't dawn on me, as I said, she was merely Mother who cooked the best meals and who made our clothes and who hung the washing on the line, and she was everything to us. She wasn't just Mother Maybelle. Of course, as an entertainer, she was fantastic.
Did you travel any with her during the 50s and
yes,
40s,
yes.
30s and 40s?
Yeah, we did. We started going around with the old original family, see. We traveled a little with them.
Not Nita, though.
Oh, I got to go
in
a
the
few
40s.
places, in the 40s, you know, the early 40s.
You were a little bitty booger, though, then.
Oh, sure, but I started working when I was a little bitty.
Well, she was tiny, but I traveled a lot with them. I sang with A.P. and Sarah's daughter some, and I was terrified of it, and I loved the business so well, but I was scared to death on the stage, you know. And for years, after we all grew up and melded into an act, kind of, you know, you feel it. And right to this day, when I'm on the stage by myself, I'm like I'm alone. That's why
you feel undressed.
I want the
without your family around you.
Togetherness.
You really do.
But traveling with them was something. I remember one night Uncle A.P. got us lost on White Top Mountain out of Bristol.
I was going to ask you that. Now, back in the 30s and 40s, you didn't have the expressways and the rest. You had to find your way on dirt roads even.
Dirt.
Right.
If it was gravel, it was a luxury.
Ford the creeks and knock on somebody's door and say, hey, how do we get up here to Buffalo School or something?
And that's what you played mostly. The only auditoriums available was schoolhouses.
Schools, courthouses, ice cream suppers, and, you know, just things like that. But I tell you, some of the greatest times in our life, looking back, I remember our first PA set. My daddy was a real progressive man. He went out and bought the first PA set for us when Mother and June and Nita and I were working. And I'll never forget the horns. The horns were, you know, the big horns that go on the car. And if you've ever seen our home up in Virginia, when Mother, this was during the time Mother was in Texas, and I remember Daddy setting those horns up on the side of the porch. Now, no one much is aware of this, but our Daddy was a classical music lover. And he loved the classics. He knew all the things. He gave Poor Valley their first culture. He played Beethoven symphonies and Mozart. And
through the horns.
Through the horns on the front porch. I said he was going to get some culture on him one way or another, I tell you.
We'll be right back with Anita and Helen Carter after this. Really popular on the college circuit back in the 60s. How did she feel about that, going to all these?
She
loved it.
She loved it, but you
know,
tell them.
We worked like festivals and things like that. You remember when Mom did the thing with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Circle B, and we worked a lot of the festivals, and to watch these young people and the way they treated our mother just made us feel so good, because you could walk in and you'd see people everywhere. It was just a sea of people, and you could walk right through them, and they would say, that's Mother Maybelle, you know, and just so pleased, but never reached out to grab her, or, you know, like sometimes they do. They'll reach and grab you. But they treated her with so much respect, and you could keep the crowd back with just like one little rope, you know, where you normally can't do that. But they would just come and just want to get close to her.
It was like an awe.
It was just beautiful, you know, and she could not get over it, the fact that those young people really loved her, you know.
What do you feel was her greatest contribution to country music, Mother Maybelle?
I think one of the things that she really proved is that a woman can get out there and make it just like a man as far as music is concerned, if she's got the drive and the talent. And Mother had the talent, but I really believe, had my daddy told her she could not come out of Poor Valley with us, she would not have moved from Poor Valley, because she was that dedicated to her marriage and her children, you know. But he said, now take it, he said, May, take these kids and go on. You've got your show, just go on like you are. And she believed him, and she went that way. And I believe that she, and you know, back in before Chester went to work with us, and even after he left us, we traveled thousands and thousands of miles, just 4 girls in the car.
We've been talking with Anita and Helen Carter. Join us again for Yesteryear in Nashville.
Black hair, with the roses so red and the lilies so fair, and the myrtle so bright with the emerald dew, her pale and leader and eyes look like blue. I will dance, I will